Well, good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Thursday, October the 3rd, 2024. Well, firstly, it's a great day here in the Macedon Range. It's almost t-shirt weather. That's how good it's getting. So that's the bright side. The downside is what we saw yesterday at about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when No Limit / main event went live with the press conference for Janibek versus Mikhailovic. Now, firstly, the good news, I suppose, is that Janibek actually made it to Australia and actually looked in pretty good condition. Looked like he was close to weight, looked like he wasn't too jet lagged, and generally looked in good spirits, if you can call it good spirit or in good spirits, because the Kazakhs just have a habit of looking a little bit serious all the time, don't they? Even when they're happy and smiling, they are very serious people. But look, I don't know how many black eyes Australian boxing can give itself, but we just tend to do it and make ourselves look pretty ordinary on TV, don't we? Or to the rest of the world. We've just come off the Michael Zerafa circus against Tommy Brown, and all the drama that went on with that, and with Tommy McCurry and Jason Zerafa, and just sometimes I struggle just to think, are these people trying to get themselves noticed? Are they trying to gain attention? Do they watch too many movies? I don't know, but either way, it's just really, really embarrassing. But that's that situation. Yesterday's press conference, well, I think it was a combination of, let's see, I'm trying to pick the right words. Awkward was probably the first word. Cringe is probably a second word. And embarrassing is probably the third word. We'll keep it at 3 words anyway. So awkward, cringe, and embarrassing. The one thing I will say that gave it a little bit of cred for me was Shannon O'Connell and Maya Motu, who were great when they both spoke. They both spoke with enthusiasm, excitement, gratitude for being on the card, gratitude for getting the opportunity. And even though they both spoke very briefly, I wish we had a little bit more of the girls, because I thought they were fantastic. And you could almost see, I mean, Shannon O'Connell's been there so many times before. She was the ultimate professional, but Maya Motu, you couldn't help but really like her excitement in the whole thing. She was genuinely just bursting on the stage there, wasn't she? And just couldn't wait, along with Shannon O'Connell, to lay hands on each other. I thought it was fantastic. And then they had to sit through what transpired after that. So let's get into the press conference. So, as I said, it was great that Janibek was actually there and in good spirits. I think he was in good spirits. I don't give away much, as I said, but he looked like he was in good spirits, and he looked healthy, and looked like he was making a genuine effort to make weight and defend his title on Friday night. So Ben Damon, as always, what he does, very professional, asks the question, as I said, talk to the girls first, and then he gets to Andrei Mikhailovic, and I think the first 3 sentences were all just F. Now, I'm not going to just say the words. I'll try and keep it a little bit classy on the channel. Isaac Peach, I think that's his name, is it? Is that his last name? Is that actually his last name, Peach? Or is that his nickname? We'll call him Isaac Peach, Mr. Thongs. To his credit, gave Andrei Mikhailovic a little bit of a nudge and said, "Andrei, come on, let's try and keep it classy." So I actually applaud him for that. But then Andrei, look, I thought he was okay to get going. Quite correctly said about the circus that happened in Las Vegas, how insulted he was, how he was treated in Las Vegas. 100% agree. I think I did a video about that at the time, about how unprofessional it was for Janibek and his team, and that I thought he should have been stripped of both of his titles right there and then, because it was pretty obvious that he was nowhere near weight. So I thought Andrei spoke really, really well. And then they go to his trainer, Isaac Peach. Two sides of the coin here, by the way. Firstly, I thought he was spot on when he said about how pissed they were about how they were treated in Las Vegas. Isaac. Well, am I going to call him Isaac or am I going to call him Peach? I'm going to call him Peach. How about we call him Peachy? No, we'll just call him Mr. Peach. Yes, quite rightly said that how pissed off they were about what happened in Vegas, and I 100% agree. And as I said, I thought he should have been stripped and sanctioned, and Mikhailovic should have fought the next best possible opponent straight away. But anyway, that's the Las Vegas thing. Rips into Janibek, who had absolutely no idea what he was talking about and just sat there with stony-faced and expressionless, we'll say, and it was quite bizarre, was it? But Janibek's brother, I think it's his brother, just happened to be sitting in the studio as well, and he could understand exactly what Peach was saying, and so those guys started to exchange words. I think it was when he was speaking or when it was Mikhailovic, whatever. So he starts to get involved, and look, the brother, we're going to call him the brother, he had a good point too, and he said, well, at least when we gave you the first opportunity, we gave you a 10-week or 8-week training camp, whatever it was, you've given us 4 weeks. Now, I've got no problem with the 4 weeks, by the way, because Mikhailovic is a no-limit fighter. They won the purse bid, they set the rules, so I've got no dramas with that, by the way, of making him come here 4 weeks. And Janibek, even though he's a champion, didn't deserve any favours after what happened in Las Vegas. So I'm all for that. But then Janibek, this is the bizarre thing about it. They started to speak to his promoter / manager, Egis Klimas, I think it's pronounced. So he's trying to translate for Janibek, but at the same time he's being translated to by Janibek's brother. It was actually really strange, and Mikhailovic actually called it out. So that was probably the odd thing, because there was this awkward silence. This is the other thing. It's 5 o'clock on a Wednesday night or evening in a quiet little studio. It was a little bit surreal, the whole thing, and it was probably more suited to a crowd of about 1,000 people in attendance, all going nuts, and really the guys feeding off it. But yeah, trading insults at each other. I think the only ones that really held themselves with a fair bit of class was Janibek himself, who was quite measured in what he said. I had, obviously, like you guys, had no idea what he was saying, but he looked like he meant business. It reminded me a little bit, if I'm being honest, of Drago at the press conference in Rocky IV, when he just sits there and just sits stony-faced, lets everyone else carry on around him, and just does not bat an eyelid. He just sits there and just has no emotion whatsoever. That's sort of what it reminded me of. And then when he actually spoke in that same straightforward, iron-faced statement, and that was about it for him. But then, of course, the fun started after the press conference, and up to this point, it actually, look, even though I don't like the whole just carrying on and swearing and all that, I understand it's part of the whole thing these days, and that's fine. But up to then, it was it was probably no more fiery than we've had at some other press conferences in recent history. But then afterwards, now I'm sure more will come out from this, but what it looked like is that Janibek's brother actually went to Peach and Mikhailovic to actually shake their hand. These are the same guys that had the little altercation during the press conference, and Isaac Peach has pretty much brushed his hand away and told him where to go. So then I thought Janibek, his brother especially, handled it okay. He said, okay, yep, no drama. You could see Janibek himself was probably the first sign of any emotion from him, and you could see things were getting a little bit tense. So then Janibek's promoter, Egis Klimas, got involved. Mikhailovic got involved. It could have got really ugly. It really could have. So I'm glad that they had the security there, because you wouldn't have thought on a Friday evening at 5 o'clock in a little quiet studio in Sydney you'd need security, but thankfully they did. So I'm glad that was the case, because the way it was going, you could see that maybe Isaac Peach might have pulled Jason Zarafa. That's the vibes I got, that he might have just had a bit of a crack, and then who knows what could have happened after that. So the security there and the people that were in charge, really well done. They diffused it really quick without getting excited. If you look at them, they were quite calm, and they basically said, hey guys, let's leave it for the weigh-in and the fight. Let's go on, But Mikhailovic, parting words. Watch it, bitch. Or watch yourself, bitch. That's probably where the cringe come into it. And I don't mind Mikhailovic as a character. I've never met the guy, but he's definitely out there. But yeah, the whole thing was just bizarre and a tad embarrassing. It really was. And the thing about these press conferences is, and I've said this in the past numerous times, press conferences, weigh-ins, whatever you might want to say, I'm still staggered that it looks like there is no code of conduct or anything being implemented by either the promoter, being No Limit in this case, or Main Event. And I think it's ridiculous when you've got so much riding on these events, so much money, so many eyeballs on the event, that they do not have, or it looks like they have no code of conduct to say to these guys, look, as per your contract, you'll be professional at these events. You're representing No Limit, you're representing Main Event, you're representing Australian boxing. So we expect you at these events not to go out there and just start, every second word is F this and F that, whatever it might be, and then getting into fisticuffs and acting like horses' asses during the whole thing. So it's just a free rein. And Ben Damon, I do get the impression sometimes though that he does ask a question or presses a comment or presses a topic where he wants something either said or something to happen. So I'm not quite sure that is the case. But how you doing? Morning. But that's I think there needs to be something done there. But we've seen it so many times that I've seen C-bombs dropped at weigh-ins. And I understand these are young guys, emotions high, testosterone's pumping, all that sort of stuff. I get it, I understand it. But if that was me in there, I would definitely have some sort of code of conduct in place where this stuff doesn't happen. So end of the day, we've got a fight. I'm not quite sure what's happening still with the undercard. Five. I thought there was going to be up to 5 fights on the card, but it looks like there's still going to be only the 2 fights. So starts at, I think, 7 p.m. on Friday night. The main event is on at 8:30. Now, that's not a bad thing. I don't mind that, actually, to have the main event on at 8:30. We're going to be done by 9:30 and then on to whatever we want to do by 9:45. So I think it's actually good in that aspect. But the fact that, look, I suppose the underlying thing about it is it's free. That's probably, well, what do you expect? You can't complain whether there's 1 fight, 2 fights, 3 fights. It's free. Channel 503, I think it is. The other thing about this card too, though, is that the relevance of it to the broadcasters and promoters and everything else. Obviously, it's good for us here, but it's on at 5 a.m. in the States. So you get the feeling that as far as Top Rank and ESPN and everything goes, this fight's not really a priority for those guys. It's probably one of those let's just get it done with and move on situations, because at 5 a.m. in the morning, of course, who's going to be watching that? I know there's some real hardcores out there that'll be up at 5 o'clock. Although I think it's on the East Coast, it might be the 3 hours later, so it might be 8 o'clock in the morning there. But either way, it doesn't look like it's high on the priority list, does it? So, but just a truly bizarre event at the weigh-in yesterday, and we've got that was the press conference. We've got the weigh-in to get through today, so I'm sure that might be a little bit calmer. You wouldn't have thought that Janibek will get too excited about things. He'll just stand there and look right through Mikhailovic like he wants to kill him. That seems to be the way he does. And I've seen, like a lot of you guys, obviously seen Janibek numerous times fight, but I actually watched him live when he fought in Stockton on the same card as Jason Maloney when he fought Vincent Astrolabio, and the guy is seriously scary. We met him at the press conference. Seems like a really lovely guy, probably like a Triple G type of thing, although he doesn't even really have the personality of a Triple G, really. But nice guy, shakes your hand, gives you a little smile, and then he goes in there and absolutely wants to rip your head off. He is a killer. And look, I'm not saying Mikhailovic hasn't got a chance. That's probably the first thing about it, what I will say. I think the fact that Janibek has got out here so late and hasn't had a chance. We don't know about how the weight cut's going to go. There has actually been rumours that he's just going to give up the belts on the scales and just get in there and fight Mikhailovic. I don't subscribe to that, because I would think, why would you even bother coming to Australia if you don't intend on defending your belts? Now, there's no way in hell he would take an Andrei Mikhailovic fight unless he had to. So I think he'll make weight today. Then of course he's got to get through the 10-pound rehydration clause on the day of the fight. So I've got a feeling he's going to tick the boxes, I really do. As I said, I don't think he'd fly all the way to Australia to fight Mikhailovic and give up his belts on the scales and fight for, he'll probably, about 250 US, whatever he's going to get, 270, whatever it might be. So I think it's going to be good. He's going to be okay in that regard. I'm just... and I'll probably go through more of the fight itself tomorrow, the predictions and everything like that. But I think if he turns up anywhere near his best, I think Andrei Mikhailovic is really going to regret all the fire and brimstone at the press conference. So anyway, at least we've got a fight. That's the main thing. And I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a better fight than a lot of people actually expect. Mikhailovic is just one of those guys who... Like by no means does he probably deserve this world title fight, by the way. Has not fought or beaten anyone resembling a world-class fighter, but he's there. That's the main thing, he's there. And that's why these regional belts come in so handy, because you get a voluntary defence and all of a sudden you're in a world title fight. So I think he'll put up an okay performance, but if Janibek actually turns up anywhere near his best, I think it could actually be maybe a bit of an early night for Andre. And who knows, he might take on Isaac Peach afterwards as a cherry on top, who knows. But either way, as I said, guys, we have a fight, and that's the main thing. And I'm really looking forward to the girls as well. I think Shannon and Miyamoto will be a very entertaining fight. Both girls love to punch on. And I think afterwards, even though we're only going to have 2 fights, afterwards you might go, you know what, we might only have 2 fights, but they had all the action of about 6 fights thrown in there. So it should be good. So again, it's on 7 o'clock tomorrow night on Fox, 5:03, and then the main event is on about 8:30. So guys, that is it for today. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.